Well, hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. You got the RV Wingman here, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to pretend to be an economist. I'm not kidding. I'm just going to give you my view of some things and what I see in the future and why I see the things I see. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman, former campground owner, lifelong lover of camping and RVing. I love most of the people that do it most of the time. As an old guy, I'm pretty opinionated here on the channel. I'm not trying to get you to think like me, but I am hoping that you'll just think, that you'll literally go, you know what? Slow down. Understand that you don't know as much as you think you know. You don't. And neither do I. Before I get started, I want to tell you, I used to hate reading. When I was young, I hated reading. It was like the most boring thing ever. The older I get, the more I love books. Oh my gosh, I can travel anywhere I want to go. I can see things that I've never seen before. When someone can write eloquently, I can go into outer space. I can become a surgeon. I can go to the Civil War. I love reading. If you love to read, type 1. If you love to read books, type 1. If not so much, type in 2. I'd like to know, kind of where my audience stands. But here around this virtual campfire today, I want to talk about the economy. And I want to roll back the clock. For nearly 40 years, I produced TV fishing and hunting TV programs. Don't hate me. I did it. Loved it. I don't fish or hunt anymore, but I got my fill of it for most of my life. So for 40 years, I did this as a career. I became very close with some real big, successful corporate executives. One of those executives was an executive for General Motors. I've talked about this guy a couple of times throughout the years, but shortly in the 90s, I became close with the Chevrolet people. And then in the late 90s, I became really close. And then around 2000, I was building this relationship, and I had finally built a relationship with some people in Detroit. They were not the head person of General Motors, but they were just a couple of steps away. Really smart people. And I love being around smart people. And I listened. And we were together one time, this guy and I, and it was just the two of us. We're having a glass of wine. And it was just, you're sitting down with somebody like, this is great. There's no pressure. You're not trying to push them for anything. They're not trying to get anything out of you. Just, you're having a good time. And this guy just starts pontificating. And I'm talking, this is shortly after 9/11. And everybody had a new Chevrolet. I mean, at least one. It was employee pricing. You remember that? General Motors had this reorganization. And at the time, I owned I owned 5,000 shares of General Motors stock. And this is a story about making a lot of money and losing a lot of money. So during the time that I was doing the TV fishing show business, I did quite well. And I was able to purchase General Motors stock at 5,000 shares. And the price was about $50 a share. So you can do the math on that. And so now it's shortly after 9/11. Employee pricing. I'm with this big shot from General Motors. And we're talking, I'm on cloud 9. Everybody's got a new GM, whatever it was. Some people had 2 brand new ones. Employee pricing. And I'm with this guy, and he's just not very excited. And we're talking, and he says, yakking about the future. And he says, well, I don't know. The future to me doesn't look so great. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? The reason I mention this is he saw something from where he was that I couldn't possibly see. When you hear Jerome Powell, you know who Jerome Powell is? Type 3 if you know who Jerome Powell is. When Jerome Powell talks, he talks, I think, like the guy did that I knew at General Motors. He says things and you kind of go, huh? But what's he really saying? Well, the guy at General Motors told me they're going down the tubes, but he didn't say it that way. He said it in a way that I kind of could have interpreted it that way, but he didn't want to tell me that. Why did he not want to tell me that? Number one, he probably couldn't break the confidentiality that he had with his company. But number 2, what if I would have sold my 5,000 shares right away? And I should have. Trust me, I should have. What if I would have helped start a panic and everybody started panicking? Well, they can't do that, and neither can the government. I'm not trying to predict doom and gloom, but I am asking the question, what does our Fed chairman say? What does Jerome Powell really say? He's like talking like the guy did at General Motors. Is it good or is it not good? Which one is it? Explain it to me. And they just leave it up to your interpretation. Anyway, so I took my 5,000 shares of General Motors stock, and after he said that, I did what most of you would probably do. I ignored him. I did. And boy, do I regret it. General Motors stock in about 2003 was around, I think it was around from 40 to 50 bucks. So I lost a little bit of money, but I'm still holding on to my shares. Everybody's got a new GM truck. You know, things are coming back from 9/11. People are working. Things are getting pretty good. So I held on to my stock. And my stock goes down and down and down. And then my contact at General Motors, he retired. So I don't have my finger on the pulse anymore. I'm thinking, do I hang on? Certainly it can't keep going down. Well, it did. It went down. So my stock that I had $50 a share into, guess what I sold it for? I'm such a genius. I sold it for 5,000 shares for 80 cents a share. 80 cents a share. $4,000 is what I got. Went from $250,000 worth of on paper, and I could have gotten it. I could have, to 4,000 bucks. And I learned an expensive lesson. What are people really saying? What are they really saying? There's always seems to be more. So I built my company back up. I got out of the TV show business. I sold the ranch, sold the campground, and now I'm holding on to the money that I've got, and I'm listening. And I'm listening to these prognosticators, and they're telling you how to go out and do this and go out and do that. And I'm telling you, don't go out and do anything yet. Think, analyze, be cautious, open your mind. What if something terrible, tragic happens? Most people can't put their hands on $1,000 if they have an emergency. More than half of this country cannot do that. Can you? I don't know. I see things, I see people, I drive past the expensive restaurants and they're always full of people putting it on credit. I mentioned the other day that cash advances now on one of my credit cards. If I wanted to pull a cash advance, the interest rate is 29.99% interest. Who can survive living on credit like that? Now, going back to what Jerome Powell said, how is that going to affect RVers like you and me? Seriously, how's it going to do it? Well, one thing that I see is the credit buyers are gone. Generally speaking, money has gotten too expensive. Actually, historically speaking, 8% loans are not that expensive. But for people that have only looked back the last 15 years or so, their 8% is high. I don't think we're going to see way below. You know, you can let me know what you think. Again, I'm not a financial planner. I'm just an old guy sitting around a campfire visiting with friends. But I don't see those low interest rates returning. I do see some new things coming up. Those new things are going to surprise a lot of people, and I don't think in a positive way. So are there any benefits for the RVer? I think so. If you go to an RV dealer right now versus if you would have gone a year or even 2 years ago, you're going to go, where is everybody? They're gone. Those people are gone. Those credit buyers are not there, not like they were. And the people that are there at the RV dealers are cash buyers. If you have cash, if you're sitting on cash, you have access to cash and you want to buy an RV, now is the best time in years to buy an RV. Dealers are willing to spend the time with you. They will sharpen their pencil for you. They will provide a better service, a better buying experience because they know they have to earn the business now. During the pandemic, they didn't have to work very hard. Heck, next. And they'd sell. You know it. It's the truth. And the service and the problems and the things that happened to people that went in and emotionally purchased during the pandemic. That we're seeing the results of that now. So, I've kind of rambled all over the place, but I talked about the great financial investor that I am. I should have listened. What is going on now that you should be listening to? See, since my buddy at General Motors is gone, I've had other people in my life, and this is the honest to God truth. I've had other people that have told me this is kind of what's going to happen, and I don't want to hear it. I want to believe that good things are going to happen. I don't want to believe that I'm going to get the metaphorical bullet in a business deal. I don't want to see that. And I look as best I can and I can't see it. And lo and behold, guess what happens? And so I have learned in my old age to try and not be so arrogant, to try and be open-minded enough, to try to listen more, to try to ask, what is that person really telling me? If we are on the verge of a financial collapse, I don't know if we are. But if we are, I would like to kind of protect myself and my family. I don't want to be surprised. I think most people are out there, they're playing around, they're spending money. Hey, we've been here before. I don't see that. I wish I saw it. I still believe for me, RVing and getting in the out of doors is the greatest escape that I can find. I want to get away from the noise. My wife and I went to a restaurant the other night. Nice restaurant. Noisy as hell. It wasn't relaxing. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. It was just, ah! RVing and camping and nature presents something that I think is good for the soul. It provides us that opportunity to think and reflect and gain perspective on things. Do I wish I would have listened to the General Motors guy and sold my shares at $50 a share or 40 or 30 and not 80 cents? I do. But I learned from that. At least I want to think I learned from that. I'm a hard-headed, ignorant idiot much of the time. I try to not be. Each time those people that cared about me, that tried to tell me something, I wasn't willing to listen. You're too negative. I didn't want to listen. Most people won't listen to this video. They won't. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that I think that we would all be better off if we stopped and what could happen? What are they saying? And prepare for the worst. Pray for the best, but prepare for the worst. RVing and camping is a wonderful pastime. I know of nothing that will draw a family together better. I love boating. I've had many, many boats in my life, but guess what? My wife doesn't care for it. If the weather's perfect, we only go out for a couple of hours, then it's great. But 99% of the time, it ain't that way. An RV, it can be good for her too. Not just 1% of the time, but maybe 75% of the time, so she kind of likes it. I think RVing and camping provides that thing for us that we so desperately need nowadays. So that's my little economic talk. I'd like to know what you think. Seriously. Do you listen to what the Fed says? Do you, not really. It's just whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Or are you planning and preparing? What are you preparing for? I'd like to know. I don't want to go down the doom and gloom rabbit hole, but I am not thinking ice cream and lollipops when I look in the future. We got Ukraine, we got the Middle East, we got things going on in Washington, D.C. that we've never seen before. People are fighting like never before. Everybody is instantly judgmental of everybody else, and you're probably judgmental of me. I probably deserve it. I'm sorry for going on and on today, but I hope that the story that I shared about General Motors, you can kind of go, ooh, there was a time in my life when I probably should have listened. Who should you have listened to? Did you have a mentor? Maybe your mom, your dad, your grandpa, maybe your friend. Do you go, oh, I should have known? Because there are things that are right there. We are not stupid. Why do we do such stupid things? It goes back to the saying, why do we do what we do when we know what we know? We know a lot, yet we still do very stupid, foolish things that are hurtful to us and others around us. Anyway, some things to think about. Again, I'm just an old guy sitting around a campfire, sharing some ideas and hopefully a little bit of what we call wingman wisdom. I would like to hear from you. If you'd like to share your thoughts, your comments, you can do it in the comments below, or I welcome your voicemails. I really do. And that number is 1-330-WINGMAN. Don't want to spell it out, 330-946-4626. You can get that phone number as well as my email address and contact information where I buy my shirts and all that kind of stuff in the description down below. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for putting up with the wingman. I will see you next time. Be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, it's the RV Wingman. Are you looking for an RV dealer you can trust? Aren't we all? I hope you'll check out the RV dealers I trust and give them the opportunity to earn your business. They are the best of the best. They really are. Go to rvdealersitrust.com. rvdealersitrust.com.